Hello guys, welcome to the first edition of our weekly forecast, right? So this is where we go through a couple of currencies that we actually trade, right? We get to do some analysis, we share our projections from this channel, right? So to start with, I'll actually start with DXY. This is the US index. It measures the strength of the US dollar, right? So let's get straight to it and analyze, right? So we're looking at the weekly chart, right? I always do a top-to-down analysis starting from the weekly chart all the way to the H4 time frame for my projections, right? Even up to the H1 time frame for my weekly for my analysis. All right. So on the weekly time frame, what you are seeing here, we are seeing that our price managed to take out this high, right? Our price managed to take out this high, creating new highs there, right? So it's a sign of bulls kicking into the market, right? And the desired zone for this move, I think, is this supply zone that we're actually seeing here, right? That's the target zone for these bulls, right? So we are expecting bulls on DXY, right? But we'll have to establish an entry zone where we can take our trades from, where we can take our buys from, or to get to lower time frames so that we establish the moves that we will expect on this very pair, right? So to get the best of the moves, I think we have to go down or go straight to the 4-hour time frame and establish our moves from there. Okay, so let's take a closer look at price. What price was doing? Price was actually creating new highs from all the way from these lows going up, right? And from this previous low that price created, we can see that there's kind of imbalance that we're seeing from this region with continuous bull candles. Also, we have this larger wick that we're seeing here, right? Mostly or usually when you see this, we expect our price to come back to close this week or to fill this week, right? So from where we are, we can see that bears are trying to kick into the market, right? This might be the move to close this week. We are actually expecting a corrective move from this zone, right? So our corrective move will have to correct at least to this supply zone that we have here. So let's mark the supply zone that we have here, right? So I expect my price to retrace all the way to this supply zone before we get the bulls that will take us all the way to that supply zone on the weekly time frame, right? Let's just try to zoom out so that we'll see that region, right? Let me do this, right? Up to this region. So we'll be expecting bulls all the way to those highs. This is the movement that we expect, right? This is the movement that we expect. This is the weekly zone, the weekly target that we are looking at, right? So as of now, I expect that our price retraces back to those lows, before we continue going up, right? Our price is to close this region before we go up, right? So for our entry, let's try to go down to the 1-hour time frame so that we establish the entry for that zone. So if we go down to the 1-hour time frame, we can actually see what price is trying to do, right? Let's take a closer look at it. All right, so price managed to create this high from this swing low. Price created that high, but when they came with a strong bearish candle that managed to close below this low. So this close below this low is actually a sign of some bears king in the market, right? So from what you are seeing there, we expect the bears to kick in. This is a retracement that we are seeing, and the maximum zone that they can actually pull to is to up to this supply zone. That's the maximum zone that they can get to, right, before the bears kick into the market. Then we expect this bearish move, right? So this is just a corrective move that we're expecting at the beginning of the week, right? We expect this corrective move at the beginning of the week. If we go down to the 15-minute time frame, we might actually see another zone where we expect sales, right? From the M15 time frame, our price might just pull back to this zone only, right? We also expect this price might just pull back just to this zone, then the bulls kick in, trying to close this imbalance that we're seeing there. But the whole range of the expectation zone is just that region before our bulls kick in. So we expect this drop from that high. We expect that drop before our bulls kick in. So let's go back straight to our H4 time frame and look at the setup or the structure. So this is what we are looking at DXY. We expect a corrective move all the way to the 96.25 zone before we get the good bulls. So on a larger time frame, we say DXY is very, very bullish, right? But at the beginning of the week, we expect these drops all the way to this region. This is just a corrective move before we get a new impulse move. So that's what we have on our DXY. That will enable us to go to the other pairs that we have to analyze, right? So from here, let's go to gold. Then we get to analyze what we have on gold. So gold is also called JAW USD, right? As you can see there. So on gold, we also have to start on the weekly time frame. Let's go to the weekly time frame and see what we have. All right. So this is what we have on the weekly time frame. This is the so what I expect or what I'm expecting on gold according to the weekly time frame. I still expect the bullish movement to take this high or to create new highs from this point, right? So if we step down to the 4-hour time frame, so that we'll have a clear picture of what's really happening there. Let's zoom out so that we see what we have there. All right, let me increase my space. All right, so this is what we have on the 4-hour time frame, right? So our price was moving upwards all the way from these lows. We're creating these new highs. We get a corrective move, create that high, another corrective move. Then we created a new high. So from that high, I believe this is just a corrective move, right? And this is in the best zone for buys. We're actually in the best region for our buys. The maximum it can go for this retracement, I think, is to this zone, right? So we'll be looking as the week begins, as our London session begins around 10 a.m. tomorrow, right? That is Monday 10 a.m. in our London session. I will expect to take some buys from this zone. This is the maximum that they can get to. But if they establish any bull setups from this region, I'll be taking buys from there. So already from the weekly time frame, or let me go to the daily time frame, maybe it will be a little bit clearer, right? So from the daily time frame, we can clearly see the movements that we expect. So from this region, I'm expecting buys only on gold. So that's my expectation for next week on gold. I expect bull trades. We are already in the zone for buys, right? So all we are waiting for is for an entry setup, right? So for entry setup, many times we step down to 1-hour time frame or even the M15 time frame. Let's try to go to the M15 time frame so that we see if there is any structure that was established there. Okay, so from what we have, we are just waiting for our price to break this high. We would like a clear candle close above this high. I don't consider the wicks. So I'm looking for a clear close above this high. Then I'll wait for a retracement. I'll wait for a retracement back into that what? Into that structure. So my price is to go up, right? Then come back into the structure. We retest the structure. I think to this very supply zone, then our bulls will kick in from there. So this is what I expect on gold. This is my analysis on gold. This is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting bulls, right? All right. So let's go to another pair that we have on our watch list and do our projections on those pairs. I think the next pair will be GBP USD that we'll have to look at, right? Okay, so this is what we have on GBP USD on the weekly time frame, right? And if you look clearly what our price was doing there, let's go back there. All right, our price managed to break this low. You can see this candle that managed to break or that managed to close below this low, right? Since price broke structure on this zone, we've been creating lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, lower lows, and this is the lower high that was actually created. So it's a demand, it's a supply zone from this region, right? We're supposed to take sniper entries from that zone, then we move with our price downwards, right? So it's in motion, it's actually in the sell region, and I'll expect price to get at least to this demand zone. This is where I expect GBP USD to be going. This is the target zone for GBP USD according to the weekly time frame. So this way is heading, this way is going, we'll see it there. So we'll wait for price to unfold, right? So let's step down to lower time frame so that we can get the end results, we can get where we can join into this trend, because we don't want to miss out on this trend, right? So if you step down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the structure is like this. So our price has been breaking the structure, creating new lows, creating newer lows like this. Our price has been breaking these lows, right? Breaking these lows, right? And currently, I'm expecting a corrective move. I expect a corrective move at least back to this supply zone, right? I'm actually expecting a corrective move back to that zone, at least if my price corrects like this, at least if my price corrects like this into this region, right? Then another drop is definitely going to come from that zone, right? So this is my expectation of GU. I am expecting the corrective move first at the beginning of this week. GBP USD will correct to this zone, then sales will come in, right? Price might actually go down before it reaches this zone. That might happen. So let's actually get to the H1 time frame and get to see other zones of expectation where our price might actually stop before reaching to that zone. Okay, so we can see that our structure has been breaking these highs there, right? We actually have a structure on H1. Let's step down to M15. Let's take a closer look on M15. Okay, so on our M15 time frame, this is what we are having. On the M15 time frame, this is what we have. So price managed to break this low. This is a BMS to the upside, right? Then price gave a corrective move. Price gave a corrective move back to this demand zone. This was a nice buy setup, right? So price managed to break structure here, create a new high, right? Return to order block, right? Price return to this order block or to the demand zone, and we go this push, breaking this high, right? So after breaking this high, what do we expect there? We expect nothing but a bullish move from this new demand zone, right? So already the bulls are in motion, right? Already the bulls are in motion. From here, we expect nothing but a bullish move to that zone of expectation. Remember, this buy is nothing but a corrective move back to the 4-hour or 1-hour time frame supply zone, right? So this is just a corrective move back to the supply zone. Though price might actually stop from here because we have another supply zone right in this region. It's just a weak supply zone that we have there, right? Price might actually stop on this region, right? The dominant trend is a downtrend, but this is an expectation. Our price might just retrace to this zone, then we get our drops, or it will retrace all the way to this key supply zone, then we drop, right? So that's our expectation on GU. Hopefully you update your setups and we get to trade together. So the overall target zone for these sales is this zone. That's the overall target zone for GBP USD. So these are the moves that we expect in this coming week. We are either going to take long-term sales from this supply zone, right, or this key supply zone that we have there. So that's all I have on GBP USD. We'll have to move to the next pairs and get to analyze them. So we have Euro USD. We also have USD on our watch list. Let's check the weekly time frame, right? Remember, I'm doing my analysis from TradingView, right? So as we look on USD, this is what we have on our USD. Price managed to break this low, right? That structure. Breaking this low, price has been creating lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, right? As you can see clearly, our target zone for this move, we are targeting nothing but these are lows. That's our target price around 1.0896. That's our target zone, right? So these drops will continue, but they won't just continue like that. Remember, our price moves in waves. So at times it has to retrace, correct, it has to give impulse move, corrective move, impulse move, and corrective moves. So we expect a retracement before the bigger move to our target. To see that, we have to step down to lower time frames so that we'll have a clear picture of what's actually happening. Okay, so from the weekly time frame, this is what we're having, right? Price managed to drop, right? breaking these lows. Let me actually mark those lows. Price managed to break these lows from this zone, right? Our price managed to break these lows, right? It had been creating newer lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs like that. But finally, price managed to break this low here, right? So we're creating a new low there, right? And as I am seeing here, if you look clearly at the candlestick that we actually got on the 4-hour time frame, this candlestick, we got an engulfing bullish candlestick, right? This might be a change of direction on the shorter time frames. We might actually be getting bulls from that zone. So we have to step down again to lower time frame so that we get the clear structure that we're actually getting at that very point, right? Actually, if we manage to get this retracement, right, the maximum zone that retracement might get is to this supply zone, right? Price might actually retrace back to this supply zone. It has to close all this, right? Let's get to lower time frames. We might actually get something at least to the 50%. Remember, our retracements, we expect them to retrace at least 50% of the impulse move, right? So price might also stop around this region, but we can only see that if we open on lower time frame, maybe the H1 time frame. Okay, so this is what we have on our H1 time frame, right? So price might just retrace back to this zone, right? This region is a region of interest on the 1-hour time frame. We might get a retracement only to these small or weak supply zones that we have there, right? I'll encourage to go to the M15 time frame so that we have a clear picture of what's really happening there on our structure. Okay, so this is what we have on our structure on Euro USD, right? Price was creating these lows, a lower high, a lower low. But after creating this lower low, price managed to break this high. So it's violation of trend. Price is violating the trend. So after violating the trend, we get a return back into structure, right? This is what is happening. So our price is returning back in structure, and they usually retrace back into structure to the demand zone that price will have created, right? So here what we have, price managed to retrace to the what? To this demand zone that it created before, pushing upwards, right? And we saw this reaction, right? So as the week begins, we expect nothing but bulls from this region, right? Price might as well give us another chance. Price might give us another chance. It might as well drop back to that zone. Then we start going up like that, right? Till we get to those highs that we had, right? So if we come back to the 1-hour time frame, let's go back to the 1-hour time frame so that we see, right? So price might continue with that. I don't know, real mistake here. Okay, let me correct on that. All right, sorry for that. I had a break there. Okay, so price might actually correct back to these zones before we get the major trend sell, right? The major direction on the weekly H4 time frame for Euro USD is a sell. We expect more of sales, but price will have to correct back into the structure before the drop. So price might correct back to 1.1289, or it might just retrace to these regions. These are expectations, right? It might just retrace to these regions, right? We might expect a break around these prices. That's an expectation. So we'll see how price will react inside this region, right? But the key zone is this one. So let's go to our H4 time frame. So on our H4 time frame, let me just remove this one, right? But remember, I said it, right? So remember that zone in your analysis. Let me go to the daily time frame so that we'll actually map rather the weekly time frame, right? So that we see what we have. So from this is just a corrective move, right? But the target zone is this zone. This is the target zone. This is where we expect our price to get to, right? So that's on USD. That's all that we have on USD. So as the week begins, right, as the New York as the London session opens tomorrow, we expect to see some retracements, or we expect to see some corrective moves back into this structure, right? We can see with the weekly candle, it managed to close below these lows, right, telling us that we have more momentum to the downside, right? So the weekly candle for next week, it will have to close as a bearish candle, closing below this one, right? So the major trend will be a sell, but before that sell, we expect a corrective move on the lower time frames, right? So if you are not a risk taker, if you are a conservative trader, you just have to wait patiently for that corrective move before you join the sells, right? The major sell that we are going to get on USD, it will be a sell. The major trade will be sell trade on that, right? So let's get to another pair. We get to analyze our GBP JPY. This is how the structure is like on the weekly time frame. We can actually see that our price managed to take out this high, right? After taking out this buy, we got a corrective move to this demand zone. After that, we got this move that we thought it was going to be an impulse move, but from what we are seeing, it might still continue going upwards, right? But from what we are seeing, it's actually failing to take out that high. So that failure to take out high might actually be a move that might be coming to take out the liquidity that is actually sitting here. There is actually liquidity that is sitting here. If you look clearly, you can actually see that we have some equal lows, right? We can actually see that we have some equal lows right there. So our price might actually be coming here to take out this liquidity, then we continue upwards, right? So that's the expectation. That's what I expect. I expect price to come to take out that liquidity, then we continue going up, right? So for that move to be satisfied, that is this move, for this move to be satisfied, right, we have to see some bearish structures on the lower time frames, right? So let's go straight to the H4 time frame. So if we get to our H4 time frame, we can see that our price has been forming continuous lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs. So after these lower lows are created, price might actually be correcting back to this supply zone. Price might actually be correcting to this supply zone. After this corrective move, then we expect massive sales. We expect massive sales from that region, right? But as we go to the lower time frames, if you take a look at the 1 hour time frame, you might actually see something that is interesting there, right? We're actually seeing something that is interesting there. Let's go to M15 actually, right? You can see that there is a structure that we have on the M15, but we won't be uh, too sure about this setup before we take out this low, right? But what I'm seeing here, there is an M pattern that was formed. Those who trade MM, there's an M in an M that was actually formed there, and price managed to take out this low. So taking out this low suggests that price might actually retrace back to this supply zone, right? If price corrects back to that supply zone, then we're going to get sales there, right? And these sales should break these lows, right? They might actually come and bounce on these lows, then continue going up. If they manage to break these lows, then these sales will be strong and they might actually drop to the intended destination on the H4 time frame and the weekly time frame. But if they fail to break these lows, then we are going to get that last push to our what? To our supply zone. We might actually get our last push to our what? To our supply zone before this, right? So that's the structure that we have on the H1 time frame. It's also a possibility that if they manage to break below these lows, then they are already going down. So let's be watchful. Let's actually look at this structure. Let's look at this weak supply zone. We might actually get good setup. If you get good setups there, we are taking sales and we are going in. We just risk these highs, right? Then we're getting that sell, right? If they are failing to break these lows, right, I believe our stops will be already at break even, right? Then we'll be protecting our trades, right? If they fail to break these lows, then price is coming to this supply zone. Then from this supply zone, then we are going deep down to follow or to satisfy the 4-hour time frame setup, right? And the target for that structure, the early target for that one, it will actually be this zone. That will be the target, because remember we broke this high and created those highs, right? So price might actually be targeting these immediate lows first before we get another corrective move for further down movements. So remember, when you are trading, guys, always make sure that you put stop losses. You don't add position to a losing trade. You only add position to winning trades, and always make sure that you manage your risk well, right? Okay, so that's what we have on our currencies for this week, right? I intend to also take a look into Bitcoin. The crypto markets was so interesting the previous weeks, seeing BS kicking in the markets, right? Let's try to analyze with the same concepts, right, to see where the bears are actually ending, right, if we are going to have a bulls keying into the market, right. So on our Bitcoin, this is what we're having. We had price breaking these highs. That's what we got, right, last year. Price managed to actually break those previous highs, creating higher highs there, right. And where was our price coming from? It was coming from this very demand zone, right. So this is nothing but a corrective move, right. It's nothing but a corrective move for more and serious buys coming in, right. To our premium students, they actually understand the setup that we actually have here, right. This was liquidity engineering that was being done here, right. And the markets and the market makers actually took some liquidity from these lows. They took liquidity from these zones, and they're now in our what? In our demand zone. So from this demand zone, we expect nothing but bulls to create newer highs there. That's my expectation. So we'll see as this week unfolds. Worst case scenario, we might see our price coming down and breaking those lows to come all the way to 10,000, right? But it's less likely going to happen. But if you see your price breaking below these lows, then we're coming to these lows, right? But I don't expect that as of now. As of now, I'm expecting just bulls from this zone. So let's step down to lower time frames so that we actually see how we can engage, how we can join into this bullish trend that is actually kicking into the market, right? So let's go straight to the 1 hour time frame. Let me just go to the 1 hour time frame, and we do an analysis there. So on our 1 hour time frame, we can actually see that our price was breaking these highs. Price managed to break this high, right? So price breaking this high suggests that we're now bullish and we're now going up. Let's now look for buy trades, right? So price created this demand zone that we see there. Price created a demand zone that we actually see there, right? And we managed to break this high again, right? Price broke, oh sorry, price broke that high again, right, creating higher highs, right. After that, we got a corrective move. After this corrective move, what do we expect? We expect nothing but a bullish move to break this high, right. We expect price to break this high, this previous high. Then after breaking that high, we come back to the demand zone. Then more bulls will kick into the market, right. So that's our expectation on this one, on this Bitcoin, right? So wait patiently for this to happen, right? So the next thing that is going to happen, price will have to come to break this high, right? Price will have to break this high, right? We go up, then we come back to this zone. So if you see your price playing in this region, expect to take some more long trades, some more bull trades, right? Price might as well try to test this low. It's a possibility, right? Price might actually try to test this low to satisfy a QML setup that we actually look at. They will learn more about those kind of setups, right? Price might as well try to test these lows, then we'll continue going up because there is a whole lot of liquidity that is actually sitting there. We can actually see that these are actually equal lows, so it's a possibility. But if we see any buy setups from this zone, we are taking buys from those zones, then we go up with Bitcoin. So that's what we have for you guys for this week. Remember to subscribe, like, and share the link to this video so that your friends also get to learn and trade the setups that we actually worked out on this lesson. So thank you guys for